Redditors, what are your most interesting roommate stories? Story number 1. I used to cook dinner and always made enough to offer to our roommate. He paid his bills and rent always, but sometimes he didn't have enough for food, so I would cook and say, "Hey man, want to have dinner with us?" He would usually say he didn't like whatever I was making. Fast forward to morning, all the leftovers were gone. His explanation? He must have been sleepwalking and ate it in his sleep. This happened 15 to 20 times over a year period, minimum. He would make these big song and dances about how what I was making was gross. So I would put up enough leftovers for two, my boyfriend and I, then go to bed. What was to be lunches for work gone, and often dirty utensils in the sink. Fast forward another 5 years, and he called me at 3 a.m. after not talking to me or my partner for 3 years, and told me my now husband, aforementioned BF, was doing crack in front of our 4-year-old. I called my husband, who was asleep. Neither of us had talked to him in years. What was this? Fast forward another 5 years. He's on death row for killing his roommate. His defense? He did it sleepwalking. Story number 2. My roommate in college claimed he was involved with the mafia. He was constantly sweaty, was very jumpy, and always had a lot of cash in his car. He never was around on the weekends, and I never saw him drink. Strangest of all is that he never once slept in his room. He was always on the couch by the door. He eventually told me that it was because if someone ever broke in looking for him, he wanted them to find him right away, so no one else would get hurt. I still don't know if he was telling the truth, but nonetheless, I always locked my bedroom door at night. Story number 3. Not a roommate, but a friend of mine had to be taught how to use a washer and dryer and how to use the stove. She was extremely competent and seemed like she was going to win the adulting game, so I was super confused. Turned out her mother had some pretty bad anxiety and couldn't handle anyone doing anything because they might do it differently. The result was her and her siblings, being some of the neatest people I know, always putting everything back exactly how it should be immediately, but didn't know how to actually do anything in the house that was beyond the broom and mop, even though they were well adjusted otherwise. Story number 4. It was such an inverse from my own childhood, where I had been left home alone with a small child and expected to figure most of it out as I went, that I struggled to grasp it. I just kept asking, "You don't know how to X?" I'm sure it was super annoying, and she was very gracious about it. Story number 5. My South Korean roommate in college played StarCraft. 2 not sure. Well into the night. We're talking like I'd be getting up to go to class, and he'd be logging off. It cured my insomnia. Listening to a game in a language I didn't understand was very soothing, apparently, and I went from taking 3 to 4 hours a night to fall asleep, if I would at all, to falling asleep within 30 seconds of laying my head down. It's weird how sometimes you find something that just works. Story number 6. I'm pretty sure I used to live with a hobbit. Man about 5 feet 1 inch, curly brown hair, constantly cheerful demeanor, never wore shoes, inside or out, literally slept on the floor in what can only be explained as a nest of blankets, started a garden and encouraged me to eat his tomatoes all the time, would bring home samosas and other goodies, always giving me half just because he and his wife had a dream of living off the grid in a tiny home on a truck. I hope he's doing well. Story number 7. I had a roommate that became very susceptible to suggestions when he would first fall asleep and wouldn't remember anything he did the next morning. One time we woke him up and told him that his girlfriend had stolen his shoes. He jumped out of bed, went to the landline phone. Yeah, I was in college 20 years ago. Called up his girlfriend and accused her of stealing his shoes. We were all dying laughing at this time. She blew him off, and after he hung up, he went into the kitchen. When he came back, he was holding 2 brownies and had the saddest look on his face. "Look, my girlfriend burned up my shoes. I'll never be able to wear them again." He placed them next to his bed and then went back to sleep. Story number 8. My freshman year college roommate was a random pairing. This kid partied all night and slept all day. Legit wouldn't wake up until 5 p.m. He goes MIA for like a week. I call my mom because I'm not sure he's even alive. She searches to see if he's been arrested. Before she can call me back, the cops are knocking at our door and ask, "Have you seen an N?" And I say no. Mom calls me back a few minutes later. He had been booked for robbery at a convenience store, which was in our dorm building. He tried to hide in an air vent. He made the front page of the campus newspaper, was expelled, and I got the whole dorm to myself for the rest of the fall and spring semester. Thanks for watching, everyone. If you enjoyed these crazy stories, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and share with your friends. Got a story of your own? Drop it in the comments below. We'd love to hear it. Until next time, stay curious and keep exploring those Reddit threads. See you soon.